All right, everybody, we're 1 minute late. Sorry about that. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. Chad, you got this?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next item on our agenda is approval of the minutes
Mike asked me to
from
go.
our recent meetings. The first set of minutes is from our March 4th regular meeting.
I motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th meeting.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, the next set of minutes is from our budget workshop of March 7th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 7th budget workshop meeting.
Second the motion.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? All right, the last set of minutes is from our budget workshop of March 11th.
I move that we approve the minutes from the budget workshop on March 11th, 2024.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the next item is appointments. We don't have any to take action on tonight, as far as I know. We have no old business. We'll move right into new business. The first item under new business is discussing and possible action to authorize the Director of Community Development to conduct an RFP for Kern School, 5 Canton Road, for affordable senior housing. Abby's not here tonight, but she did a memo. It's a very, very brief history of the Kern School and its status. As you can see, the recommendation is that we authorize her to develop an RFP, see if we can get some folks interested in acquiring that site for this kind of development or developing it in some other arrangement. So, Peggy, I know you asked me about.
Yeah, when I saw this, what occurred to me is, I mean, certainly there's a need for affordable housing for seniors in town. But I'm wondering if we should broaden the RFP a little bit, because in addition to, an independent living type of housing, the town really is in need of housing for seniors that has more assistance, such as an assisted living type of arrangement, or, as seniors tend to age, the independent living situation becomes difficult because they're isolated. They might need community meals, for example, and things like that. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to broaden the RFP to include assisted living and affordable housing opportunities, or something of that nature.
Thank you. And Mark, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I guess I would comment on Peg's idea. I agree that there's a need for that. I didn't know if a developer who would be doing affordable senior housing would be the same developer who would be doing a project on assisted living. I don't have too much experience. I just imagine that they were separate pools that people would develop.
My sense is they probably are, that they're probably two different developers, but that doesn't mean we can't write an RFP. I think that it allows people to bid on one or other aspect of it. But I suspect that they are generally two different types of developers and operators.
Yeah, no, I like Peggy's recommendation. And I think we just, either or.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Members of the Commission on Aging, you're good with that broadening?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. You have a note on how you might have a motion to do that?
Yeah. I move that the Board of Selectmen authorize the Director of Community Development to conduct an RFP for Kern School, 5 Canton Road, for affordable senior housing and/or assisted living.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, just before we take the vote, Mike, this feels like one that once Abby sort of developed the RFP, that maybe you bring it back and we look at it one more time to make sure everybody's satisfied.
Sounds good.
Okay. Everybody good with that? All right, any other discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right. The next item on the agenda is a federal and state funding request for the radio communications and Kern School demolition support. Mike, you want to take this away?
Sure. So I'm requesting from the board permission to seek funds from a variety of sources. Let's first start with Kern School. We just talked about that with respect to the RFP. There may be money out there specifically at the State Department of Housing, perhaps not to support the demolition, but we'll try that, but more so to support the housing initiative. So I'm simply looking for permission to start the discussion process with our partners at the State of Connecticut. I will work with the legislative delegation, also work directly with the Commissioner of DOH. The second thing I'm requesting, all encompassed in the same motion, is the town has done an exceptional job setting aside in excess of $4 million for the communications project. We know that the radios, you heard it through the budget hearings with respect to Lost Acres Fire Department, the other first responders, as well as Public Works, the Granby Ambulance Association. They need replacing, and again, the community has done an excellent job setting the money aside. There is a $2 million existing bond request, but I'll follow up with the existing language with the legislative delegation. But there's also a handful of other places we can look. I'm certain we're getting a late start, but you can only, or they can only say no. I'll pursue directed federal allocations with John Larson's office, Senators Blumenthal and Murphy. We'll seek new earmarks. Earmarks generally take about 2 years, so I think we're a little late to make that request. But there's also unallocated state ARPA funds, perhaps through DESPE. So I'm simply looking for permission to start the process to have a discussion. The hope would be, short term, we get put on a May 2024 bond commission agenda. That's the next one scheduled. Long term, maybe there's some funding out there to offset a small portion of this project. So short of a promise, we simply want the ability to go out there and start the discussions for an existing discussion of $2 million and then other discussions related to state or federal support that we may be able to find.
Questions? Comments? Motion? Go ahead, Ken.
No, I was going to say, if there's an opportunity to get additional funds, I think we absolutely should.
Why don't you make the motion then?
All right, so I will make a motion to hereby authorize the town manager, Mike Walsh, to seek federal and state funding in the amount of up to $4 million for the radio communication project and up to $1 million for the construction reuse of the Kern School property, which could include demolition costs or incentives to support senior housing.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, the next item is a Northeastern Regional Municipal Government Cooperative, the NRMGC.
I will take that one as well. On Friday of a week ago, I went to the town of Enfield and sat with other elected officials, first selectmen, town managers, and we discussed ways to help each other. There's an attachment to this particular memo. These communities that were together at that meeting represented East Granby, East Longmeadow, Mass, Enfield, Longmeadow, Somers, Suffield, and Windsor Locks, so geographically close to us. The situation is this: Governor Lamont has proposed legislation that is supported by CCM,
CROG and cost, and it will allow municipalities to more easily explore ways to facilitate regional cooperation. Support grants are part of the proposal. So the objective of NRMGC, short for Northeastern Regional Municipal Government Cooperative, is to leverage the pending legislation in such a way as to create geographically aligned sets of towns to practice regional cooperation seamlessly in a way that benefits each community. There is no cost to membership, and the membership is elected officials from towns, their town managers, and administrative officials. Possible opportunities is Enfield has a large planned public safety complex on the horizon, so they would offer it out for first responder training facilities, perhaps public safety answering points, a shared shooting range, SWAT teams, canine programs, drone use and access, collection of insurance receivables, shared public works equipment, on-call contract usage, water pollution authority guidance, embedded social workers with PD access, tactical EMS access and training, uniform municipal aid contracts, regional accident reconstruction teams, perhaps a regional animal shelter, shared building inspection, grant writing and submission, shared or group bidding, shared or staggered revaluation contracts, and the ambulance support as needed. Again, this is just a menu of the possible places we can cooperate, but I think there's utility in this. So this is simply a communication in case anybody had any reservations. I wanted the board to be aware of what we're pursuing and simply take any comments if there were any in the with respect to joining this and participating.
I'm just curious as to why Long Meadow and East Long Meadow
Yeah, I was wondering that too.
participating.
That was the first question I asked, and apparently Enfield has some border problems where there's some need to cooperate across borders, and those are the two towns that ultimately they cooperate with.
Okay.
That seems like a good idea. We're always looking to ways to pool resources and
I will also, the three areas that I think will fit, our Public Works Department, so Kirk, we will bring in on this, Chief Sansom, you heard a lot of public first responders in there, and also Abby with economic development. So between the three, we'll pick and choose. They meet one Friday a month at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'll have some representatives just to see how this unfolds.
Sounds like a good idea.
I think it's a good idea to cooperate regionally. I like the across the border if that helps us. Just wondering about the overlap of, say, cost as far as activities that we're already paying for.
Let me take that opportunity. CCM, Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, represents 169 towns, and we pay into that, as do others. And they're predominantly a legislative branch. They lobby for us in terms of state mandates. They also do some other things with respect to KERMA is a subsidiary of CCM, so we get our insurance through them. So they're kind of the universe, all 169 towns, whether you're a big city or a small community. CROG is, I believe it's 38 towns. I think I have it in here. 38 central Connecticut towns. And cost are the universe of all small towns. I don't know how many, but I would guess they're in the neighborhood of about 50. The difference between CROG and cost are these are actual boots on the ground. How is it we can capture some of those cooperation grants that the governor may be putting in his upcoming budget, and also because we are geographically connected to each other, how is it that we can share a piece of equipment? That may not be the case with somebody down near the shore and so forth. So you're right, there is some overlap, but CCM has a different mission. CROG is broader, and cost is across the state small. So again, this is a small concentration in the northeast corner, and that's why we want to pursue it to see if there's any value.
That answer your question, right?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
I think it's a good idea too, but I just want to confirm what I think went without saying, that obviously we won't commit to anything that either has an impact on our budget or commits us to ongoing costs without I'll bring it back if it.
That's correct. If in fact, say we decided there's a ability for a public works truck to be shared, it would come here as a cooperation agreement and the cost would be laid out then. But as it stands right now, unless we came back to you, there would be no cost to the town, no budget impact.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing no objection, we'll continue to participate in that process. And the next item on our agenda is two actions related to this year's budget. There's a memo that outlines where we are in the process and a proposed resolution. I think after we're done with the resolution, I think we ought to pass also the budget referendum question with a couple of typos corrected. Before we do that, I want to again thank everybody who's put so much time and effort into this. Kimmy and our entire team, a lot of hard work has always went into this budget, but in this year, probably more than usual, educating me, getting me up to speed, bringing Mike along in the middle of it. I also want to thank our Board of Finance members for all the time that you put in our workshops. I think this budget is one that we should be proud of and be willing to advocate for. We worked hard to get where we wanted to be. We're below the Board of Finance's guidelines. Our priorities that we set out for at the very beginning are still in this budget, even though we're below the Board of Finance guidelines. And if the voters approve it, probably most significantly, it includes the funding for our emergency communication system, which is a big deal. And so I guess the details are outlined here. Does anybody have any questions? Obviously, these numbers reflect the decisions we made during the budget workshops, right?
They do.
Okay. Now, I always ask Scott this question. Can someone just make the motion to adopt the resolution as it's written in this report, or do we need to read it in the?
No, yeah, if you go ahead and adopt the resolution, I'll put it in the minutes that way.
Okay. Everybody, you need a minute? Any other questions or thoughts? Obviously, our action here tonight will forward this on to the Board of Finance for their review a week from tonight. Mark, anything?
I didn't, no. I'm glad to see that it reflected all the outcome from our budget workshops where we had an opportunity to review the budget line by line. I think this is the correct summary based on those decisions.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep. Good. Somebody want to make a motion to adopt the resolution as it's written in our backup?
I'll make the motion to make the resolution for the action for the 2024-2025 Board of Selectmen budget to be forwarded to the Board of Finance as noted in the backup memo dated March 15th, 2024.
Second the motion.
Good enough for you, Scott?
Good.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, the next item would be to approve the budget question. The typographical error is in the next to the last line, Education, Quality and Diversity Fund and Solid Waste Fund are just repeated. So they should be struck there in that next to the last line.
And I think Recreation Events Fund is in there twice as well.
Correct.
Oh, it is? I'm sorry. All right. Any questions or discussions on the question? If not, I'd love to hear a motion.
So I move that the annual budget referendum question be, shall the annual budget referendum for the 2024-2025 fiscal year as recommended by the Board of Finance, including appropriations from the General Fund, Dog Fund, Local Capital Improvement Program Fund, Town Aid, Road Fund, Sewer Utility Fund, Recreation Event Fund, Education Quality and Diversity Fund, and Solid Waste Fund, and other funds be approved.
They gotta leave in Emergency Communication Fund.
And including Emergency Communication Fund.
All right.
See, we give you the hard job.
Scott, you
I got it.
Thank you for that.
Second the motion.
Any final discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, that motion passed. It's in your hands now. All right, the next item on the agenda is the town manager report.
Thank you. So in everyone's package, and for those who are viewing from at home or online, there's a March 18th memo from myself as your town manager, and it took an opportunity to talk about some of the first 2 weeks, my observations. I won't go into a lot of detail. Everyone has it in their package, but I'm probably telling you what you already know. The town manager completes 2 activity reports for the board. The first one is predominantly concentrating on departmental activities. So as a little bit of background, each of the 8 or so departments that work for the town will provide to me on about the 25th of the month their activities for the previous month. So for instance, on about the 25th or so of March, I'll get March activities and I'll turn that into a departmental activity report as a town manager's report for the first meeting in April. For the second meeting, it's traditionally been Kimmy in the finance department talking about both the financial statements and the American Rescue Plan Act funding, which you're familiar with. And I'm going to keep that cadence with your indulgence, but also provide updates to certain projects so that the board at a glance will possess situational awareness on what we're working on. In today's activity report, again, I won't read it, but I just want to highlight some things for the community. It's certainly known and understood, at least by me and the staff, that we manufacture service. And I think the best way to do that is with an employee-centric culture, which Granby is well on the way to delivering. Happy employees ultimately produce more and better customer service for the residents. So I've also asked directors, again, consistent with the history of Granby, when they make decisions, make them with a need to align with the budget that's in place. So we want to link the money that you put in place with the services that we deliver. And we always want to be efficient and effective with the money that we're trusted with, and always build toward resiliency and redundancy. And that's in case something happens down the road. We want the number 2 in the department, if there is such a person, to be able to move forward. We do this building toward customer service and employee-centric culture and the decision-making where we're looking to build resiliency and redundancy. We start to do that in standing 1-hour monthly meetings with each of the department heads. We call those one-on-ones. They're safe space for each of the individuals, and it allows us to do a give and take on operating expectations while attempting to carve out new time for projects. So we attempt to engage everyone at all levels to provide room for new projects, and you'll start to see that take shape as we move on. Additionally, I attended 2 budget sessions. I visited the Cossett Library, and kudos to Library Director Amber Wizik for the space. We partnered with the Board of Ed to discuss capital items. We reorganized Park and Recreation. We did that by reassigning Sandy Yost, or adding to her existing responsibilities. She'll be the interim director, and we want to thank Daphne, Terry, and Jamie for their patience while we decide which structure best able is assist the town. We reviewed the Park and Recreation budget at a granular level with Terry, Daphne, and Jamie, and I want to thank Kimmy for supporting that. And then I also, as you know, attended the Northeast Regional Municipal Government Cooperative. So that's the cadence between the first meeting and the second meeting. And although it wasn't in your package, I want to add a couple of things. I had the opportunity to go out to Salmon Brook Park on, I believe it was Friday morning. Went out with Kirk and I went out with Abby. They've already provided plans for the Salmon Brook Park walking trail. And that's going to be paid for by a steep grant that the town is already in possession with. And we're going to marry it with a process called Easy IQ. Capital Region Council of Governments runs the Easy IQ program, and they understand that getting construction projects into a town like Granby, or any other town for that matter, is difficult, because you need to bid a owner's representative, and then the owner's representative comes in and either designs the plans or runs the project. And then with the help of the owner's representative, another RFP is put out, and then a contractor is hired for the particular work. In this particular case, CROG has pre-spec'd by region the owner's representative. And the owner's representative is a company that will help the town communicate with the builder. And in this particular case, Yield is the also pre-qualified bidder through CROG. So we're able to get the owner's rep and the construction contractor to be able to look at the plans we've already designed using the steep money that we have in place to do this particular walking trail. So rather than it being a 2025 project over the summer, I believe we'll be able to get it done perhaps as early as the fall of 2024. It's going to take about a month for the contractor to bid that out. Our owner's rep will then kick the tires to be sure the price is good. We'll make sure it falls within the budget, and we'll be able to come back here and give you an update. While we were out there, we saw the basketball courts and the playscape, which I believe on Wednesday or Thursday you asked us to check out. Completely agree. The basketball court, the one closest to the parking at Salmon Brook Park, has about a 3-inch large split in the asphalt that would be dangerous. And then the other side of the court has some what I would call alligator cracking, not quite as severe as court 1, but basically it's clear that the surface has to be pulled up. So Kirk is going to take a look at that. We believe we're going to add 6 inches of fill. After the layers are milled off, we're going to leave the backboards and hoops in place. And we think it's going to be at a cost of about $75,000. If you remember, there was a significant number, $750,000, that was going to renovate the basketball courts and redo the PlayStation, or the playscape. Looking at the playscape, and I'm certainly no expert, it looked in I'll say good to very good condition. So I'm a little hesitant to recommend that until we get somebody's skilled eyes on it, namely a park and recreation consultant, to tell us, instead of the whole thing being bulldozed, what can we save and what should be replaced. So my sense is there'll be a systematic laser focus on a couple of things that probably should go, and I think that will bring that cost down substantially. So as opposed to a full renovation of the playscape, I think it'll be a select renovation of the playscape, and I would expect the cost would come significantly down from $750,000 for the two. So I've got a hard number of about $75,000 on the renovation of the basketball court, and some number after a consultant makes recommendations. In every case, we'll be back here, we'll update you. We won't do anything before we have complete consensus, but I don't believe that $750,000 accurately reflects what we should do there. Again, just my opinion, it's too early to tell, but somebody with more expertise will hopefully fill me in. So that is an update on both the Salmon Brook Park walking trail using the Easy IQ process, which is bid out through CROG, and also the Easy IQ process for basketball courts and eventually playscape. Happy to take any questions.
Did you close the first court, or is it still open?
I did not close the first court, no.
I think we put money into the current budget for any safety constraints that were on the playground equipment.
Agreed.
Did you notice anything that needed to be addressed soon?
So one of the things I have to do is Kerma comes out with a safety inspection and does all our playground equipment. I have not found that report yet, so I'll put a call into Kerma either to schedule that inspection or get the equipment. But I also expect that the playground consultant that we engage for this assessment will also tell us what we should do with respect to safety. Things quickly go out of date on playground equipment, so I'm looking for that type of information from the consultant.
Any other question on that portion of Mike's report? All right. Anything you want to highlight on the budget in ARPA?
I do. I want to thank Kimmy for, yeoman's work on the summaries for both ARPA and the budget operations. I want to dive down a little bit more granularly. What I'm seeing that I want to carry over for the next Board of Finance meeting, when I think the board will be in a position to provide some answers, is the concerns I have, which I think everyone shares, are special education. We have what we think is 75% of the amount paid by the state already. If that is the case, and the remaining 25% comes in, we'll have an estimated $350,000 shortfall from where our budget is. Don't panic yet, because the Board of Education has to give us an update on that. Also, with respect to tuition, it appears to me that there's an $816,000 shortfall. I do know that billing has gone out from the Board of Ed, but I want to just make sure, kick the tires a second time with the Board of Ed, to be sure that we're expecting a bit of a windfall in the last 4 months to be sure that we get to the budget target. If not, it's potentially an $816,000 shortfall. So that's about $1.2 million, and normally that would be of concern. However, on the revenue side, revenue sharing came in from the state, was unbudgeted, which is a very good conservative thing to do, just under $300,000. Building permits are $211,000 over budget with 4 months to go. And finally, the investment balances, which are receiving significantly more interest rate bump than we would have expected as the budget, is up $567,000 with 4 months to go. So you've already got $1.1 million, and I have every faith and confidence that the budget, the way it's built, will exceed expectations. But those are the 5 lines. 2 we're concerned about, and 3 are the horses that are driving your budget. So all in all, you're fine, projected through 6/30, but we want some answers on special ed and tuition from the board. Last comments on ARPA. Kimmy and I sat briefly today. I still have to get a handle on what the document is telling me. I have a pretty good idea, but Kimmy's the expert. So the grant was $3.4 million. 2.875 is currently basically allocated. So there's about $600,000 in the next phase that we want to come back to. And again, it's up to me and Kimmy to sit down, lock this down for reporting, but also to ensure that the $600,000 isn't needed in either phase 1 or phase 2 existing projects. So other than me getting comfortable with the accounting, which I'm about 80 to 90% there, we'll be before you in the near future looking for a $600,000 allocation to be reapplied to projects to make sure we have your priorities in mind.
So on that one, if it's possible, I think we should, because the next meeting we have is going to be April 22nd, because we lose both of our regular April meetings. So if it's possible, I know the 2 of the things we were waiting on is some HVAC numbers from Kirk, which I thought I was getting close to, and some IT numbers from John. So if we can at least get those reported out to us in April, that might help us. In particular, the HVAC number might be so big that we have to really look at that line item entirely.
I have a meeting tomorrow with Kirk. We started the meeting last week. It lasted about 90 minutes, and we weren't half done. So we have not covered HVAC yet, but he's coming back tomorrow provided he gets his plumbing at the house squared away, and we'll have a better handle on it tomorrow.
Okay. I guess since our April 22nd meeting is only, I'd like to see us shoot for either April 22nd or the first meeting in May to have those two numbers, if we can get them.
Okay.
Anything else on Mike's report? Great job. Thank you, Kenny, again, as always. I have a very quick report. Just a reminder to everybody, when we finish here, we're going to go over to Senior Center and conduct our 7 or 8 ward meeting to receive a presentation from the developer who's interested in developing solar on the Monrovia site. For those of you in the public, we had to use the Senior Center because of the number of board members involved. So we're going to tape the meeting. It'll be available eventually on our website, but there won't be Zoom for it because that room is not Zoom compatible. Just the very beginning of the process of beginning to work with the developer on their plans, our questions, our concerns, so on. And then the only other thing is just, I just barely touched on it, so we'll, because of budget-related issues, we won't be able to meet here either April 1st or April 15th, so we'll do a special meeting on April 22nd. We'll handle any Board of Selectmen work that we have to do, and then when we adjourn, we will reconvene as the sewer board. We have at least 2 actions scheduled for that meeting. One is to receive the sewer report that we commissioned, and the engineers will be here to help answer any questions we have about the report, and then we're required to set the rates. So that had to be done in April, which is why we picked that date in April. So, any questions for me?
Nope.
All right. You got anything, Mark?
No, I don't.
Peggy?
Nothing for me.
All right.
Nothing.
All right, guys, you're up.
All right, first thing, it's a long way away, but NHS is hosting Empty Bowls on April 26th from 5 to 7 p.m. In case you don't know what Empty Bowls is, it is an event where we sell bowls, homemade pottery bowls that are either from local donors or made at the high school. I've been making bowls to donate. So we throw them at the high school, and then we have NHS members come in and glaze them, and we fire them twice, and then they're ready for eating. I think we've made around 100 so far at the high school, and gotten about 100 from donations, and we'll continue to do that until then. And then we also get food from local donors, local restaurants, and so I think it's around $15 to get unlimited soup and a bowl to take home. Next Friday we have the Student Gov Dodgeball Tournament, so that'll be an exciting one for the students of the high school. It'll probably get a little too competitive, but it'll be fun. And this past weekend, I hope some of you attended, we had the musical, Footloose. It was incredible. I will say from my experience, it seemed like everyone that started singing it kept getting better. Never had a letdown. So it was awesome. And shout out to everyone in it.
Yeah. So today was practically the first day of spring sports. It technically did start on Saturday, but today was basically the day where the whole high school, it was buzzing. They went into the locker room, it was absolutely packed. Kids were flying all about because we have tennis practice, we had baseball, and all the sports are running at full bore now. They are entering their preseason, so there's going to be preseason matches throughout the next couple weeks for all these sports. So that is very exciting for all the spring sports people, including myself. And then also, as a junior myself, I also have the joy of taking the SAT next week. So we have, all juniors have to take the SAT on next Wednesday, where that's as a graduation requirement and as a opportunity to take the next step to college if they want to. So that is what is happening at the high school right now.
Any questions?
I don't know if anybody told you, but SAT is kind of a big deal.
No pressure. No pressure.
Yeah.
All right, any questions?
What is your spring sport?
Tennis.
Wow, you guys gonna win, you won the championship last year, right?
2
2
years
years
ago, we did a back-to-back. We
Oh.
won it for a second time back-to-back.
Okay. So there's no back-to-back-to-back. Last year we intervened.
No,
You gotta start the streak
unfortunately.
again? All right,
We'll be pushing this year.
all right. Any other questions? Thanks, guys. All right, we'll go into public session. Actually, we'll just start on Zoom. Is there anybody on Zoom that wants to address us during the public session? And if not, we'll go to anybody in the room. Anybody here? Anna, you came all this way, you don't have anything you want to share?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. You okay back there, ma'am? All right, we'll close the public session. As far as I know, we have no need for an executive session. I'll accept a motion to adjourn and head over to the senior center.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. You guys staying?